Welcome back, Universal Wrestling Conglomerate fans. We are days away from our Pitamania event where we will be. What? Well, we've got a special message from our own Pid. I'll shoot you guys over to him now. There's been a lot of talk about that new Iron Claw movie, and I'm here to tell you, the Pitamals, the Pitophiles, the Pitamaniacs, all about it. Now, it's an emotional roller coaster. So me, your brother, the big brother, the little brother, strong brother, handsome brother, best dressed brother, here to tell you I'm with you. It's gonna be a lot of emotional stuff going on. It's gonna be a lot of crying, dying, and high flying in this movie, okay? Now you get ready and let's start this. The movie Iron Claw was about brotherhood and living vicariously through your children. Two main themes of the movie. And that latter one set those brothers up for a path of life towards, self destruction. Unknowingly to the parent also. Like, how could you know what you were doing as far as letting your children know what the rankings were, which was crazy, of how much you loved them, and also what the main goal should be for all of them, which was getting that championship belt that you could never get to that house by any means necessary. And those kids, they really just, looking for that love from above, from their father, were hell bent on getting that championship belt to the house. It didn't matter who did it, and it didn't matter how they did it. It was just gonna get there some kind of way. And the main character, Kevin, wanted it the most, but his opportunities were very limited, which was heartbreaking in the movie because you could see how much work he was putting in and how he wanted to be the example. He wanted to be the star pupil of his father and show his younger brothers that we can do it. I can show you the way. He just had a couple of obstacles in the way, which were his social awkwardness and also his inability to, speak on the mic. He could, as a part of wrestling, it's a very important part of wrestling, is selling the fight, and he just couldn't cut a promo to save his life. His younger brother David, though, what a guy. David could talk on the mic. Kevin, fighting skills, wrestling ability, I would say an 8. Kevin's speaking skills, probably a 2. David, on the other hand, speaking skills at a 9. Wrestling ability at probably about a 7. He was great. But did he want it as bad? No, he just wanted to be there with his brother. He just wanted to be with his older brother, hanging out, as any brother would. And seeing that in the movie had a strong connection with my actual life because I'm a brother. I have 3 older sisters, 1 older brother, 2 younger brothers. And everywhere I went for a portion of my life, people would ask me, "Where's your younger brother?" Because if you didn't see us together, you knew he was somewhere around. And if he wasn't, it was probably because he was either sick or hurt or something, or I was sick or hurt, and he was where you were at, and you were asking him, where is he? So being a part of a brotherhood, you want nothing but the best for your brothers. You want to show your brothers that we are good enough, and you want to set the example, set the tone as the older brother, while also, getting that praise that you were looking for. And there was only one way to do it. And that was get that championship belt. Now Kevin's opportunity was, I would say unjustly given to David, But if I was to take myself out of the situation, I could see why the decision was made, and I could almost justify it in a sick kind of way as his father, seeing that how bad Kevin wanted it, that curse, if it was to exist, would have ate him alive if he did give him that spot instead of David, because of how it worked with how badly you want things and how it will manipulate you as a curse, as a generational curse. And he saw himself in Kevin being that bitter old guy, and he didn't want Kevin to go through life working so hard and getting so close and being, edged in a way with the taste of success, but he couldn't just quite grab it. He couldn't just quite cross over because he couldn't talk. And that was gonna hurt Kevin psychologically, and he didn't want that for his son. That's my justification for it. I don't know if that's really what happened, but that's just me putting together some sort of head canon to make this dad not the worst human on earth for how all of the events played out, of whether it was how Carrie went to the house and he was just on the phone with his brother, and he was like, I need you. And his brother saying, I'm there for you. And he just couldn't make it in time to get to his brother to save him. That I I cried multiple times in the theater because I could see myself, and if I was in those situations, what would I do for my brothers? Anything to keep them from hurting themselves or ending their own lives. There would be anything. I would swap places with them immediately to keep them here. It wouldn't matter to me, because as a brother, that's what it means to be a brother. You just you just don't know until you're there. You just don't know what some people are going through and what they would be willing to do to stop the pain, to stop the hurt, to stop having to put on that face to be strong for for their family, for the fans, for the people that they want to see one side of them without seeing the other. What goes into it, the substance abuse, the training, the not being able to see your children because you think that if you're around your children for too long, they'll catch it, they'll get the curse, they'll end up like you, and you want them to be better. That's all you ever want for the next generation, is for them to be better. And you don't know how to be the person to show them that, because you don't know what you are. You don't know how valuable you are in the world, because your parent has shown you that your only value to them is if you bring home that goal. If you reach that, if you reach that achievement, then I'll say good job, instead of putting any of the humanitarian things that you've done before that, or putting any of the things that you have accomplished outside of your craft before that. When you're just seen as, what you what accolades you rack up, then that's what you value. That's what your value is to the people you love. That's what you value, and that's what your value is to yourself. And poor Kevin couldn't even sleep in his own house because he feared he was going to be what his dad was to him, to his children, and set that unrealistic goal in front of their eyes, and they would be able to watch him, and they would get that itch, that tingle of, I want to do what daddy's doing, and I want to be the one to, help daddy reach his goals. And he just knew that it was going to be an everlasting cycle if he was to go through that with them. There were some scenes in this movie that were just so hard hitting and so like awe inspiring, where you would think, what does wrestling even mean to me? I barely watched it as a child, but I kept up enough to know that I liked Randy Orton. I liked Triple H. I know some of the characters from these video games that I play, WWE SmackDown versus Raw. I know these characters. I know Ric Flair. I know The Rock. I know Mankind Foley, and all of these people. But then you watch the movie and you're like, I didn't know that they were putting themselves through this. I didn't know that for The Rock to get out there, he had to take all those pills, or I didn't know that for Ric Flair to be in front of us, he had to go out and shoot his arms and legs with steroids. I didn't know these things. And that's when you take the peek behind the curtain and you realize how the sausage is made. We're all human. These people were superheroes in our eyes because they were jumping and flying through the air, crashing into each other, going through tables. But they're human. They're people. They feel. And as much as you want to say wrestling is fake, it's more real than a lot of things because these people are people. They're regular people. They're some failed athletes, some who are victims of abuse, some who are drug addicts who've turned their life around and now they're trying to get back on the right track and find a way to make clean money. And this is the only way they know how. And instead of selling their body on the street, they're selling their body for your entertainment. And they're doing it for the glory. Is what Kevin, Kerry, David, and Mikey were doing. They were doing it for the glory of their dad. And unfortunately, it caused some of them to pass away and for Kevin to be emotionally scarred and traumatized to the point where he had to just, come to peace with it, that he was no longer a brother and that he had lost his brothers because of what his father done. He had lost his father because of him losing his brothers. He couldn't believe that his family could have gone so far in the pursuit of that one goal that it would drive them to the door of death. And he would want nothing more but for his brothers to be there with him instead of that medal or belt or title championship match, any of that. He would replace it all as any brother would, because you never know when, where, how, but you want the order of events to always go in the order of how you were all born. I would never want to see any of my younger siblings go before me. And he had to watch all of his siblings go before him. I couldn't imagine. And I feel so sorry for him because I just have trouble placing it in my mind, even thinking about it without a tear coming to my eye or me getting choked up, because what would I be without my brothers? They've shaped me. They've made me a leader. They've made me an example. I've been taught so much from my siblings that their their knowledge is my knowledge. And I can't help but to repeat things, to say things, to remember things that I've been told, we've done together, we've been shown by our parents. And I gotta call my brother.